Let's talk about OpTic. I know you wanna hear it. Hector spilt. Well, what is it the cool kids say now? Oh, Hector's spilling the tea.
Real journalism. That's right.
Is he spilling tea? Is it spilling tea or drinking tea? I think you spilled tea, right? It's time for tea. It's pathetic. I fucking hate hipsters. So let me tell you, this is pretty long actually.
Why would you get rid of the people who
You're not even
who
a real
got you?
journalism. That's right.
And there's a lot to skip through and a lot to go through here. But remember I told you a while ago, I told you all that there was shit going on in regards to Hex behind the scenes that people don't know. Well, he started dropping little crumbs, a little, fucking trail to the gingerbread house of truth or whatever, if you want to go Hansel and Gretel all up on that bitch. And it started today, and it was...
Why would you get
Right, let me just turn it
people
down.
who got you the biggest? Because that to me would have been a definite like.
Right. So there's a lot to go in here, but the Eavesdrop podcast is like a podcast. So initially, I felt a little bit sorry for Hector because his breadcrumb trail was in lengthy content. And as a lengthy content creator myself, I know kids don't have an attention span. Oh, what's the drama, Mr. Hector, sir? What's the drama, Mr. Hector, sir? That's all I care about. Where do I sign up for the drama, Mr. Hector, sir? What hashtag do I need to use, Mr. Hector, sir? Right? So when you're like that, right? I don't want that fucking audience. I've done everything I fucking can to push that audience away. I tell everybody, they go, why don't you put timestamps in your videos, Richard? And then I can watch the bit where you say the words that I want you to say. And then when I hear them words, I can go on to Twitter and say, Richard Lewis said this, and that's all I need, because I don't need context or any of the other stuff. So why don't you just do that? And I have to explain to the kids, I don't do that, right? Because that is fucking stupid. I want you to understand a broader context. If it takes me 40 minutes to explain something, yes, I do have a particular drawl when I talk, so I probably could cut that down to 25 or 30. I pause, I collect my thoughts, I come back. I don't know how good I'd be under, 2-minute time frames or whatever. I like tangents. This is who I am. But no, I'm not going to just give you a timestamp to tell you where I say the thing you want to hear, so you can then go and take the content on social media and go, Richard Lewis said this, and what I actually meant was, because of X, Y, and Z, this is the conclusion I've arrived at. You spreading information that I've dug into and arrived at a balanced conclusion, when you present my balanced conclusion without any of the evidence as to how I arrived at it, you're not helping the debate, you're actually hindering it. That's why I don't do timestamps it by the numbers. It's why I don't do timestamps in my podcast. You have to fucking watch it all the way through and understand how I always explain the process when I'm doing the show. So that, and if you don't like it, oh, God, I don't like this voice, Mr. Richard, sir. For some reason, it's making me uncomfortable, probably because I'm one of the few 16-year-olds in your chat that shouldn't be here. And, Richard, you shouldn't do this. Sir, please stop, sir. It's making me uncomfortable, sir. Right, listen, if you don't like the voices I do, you're also in for a bad fucking time on the fucking, You know what I mean? This is a bad time if you watch my streams. I do voices. So you're gonna have to get used to that. You're gonna have to get 100% used to the voices. If you don't like the voices, yeah, you're right. I impersonated fucking Alex Jones not that long ago. Voices are important to what I do. Right. Anyway, so let's just recap at the start, right? What's been going on over at OpTic, all right? Because I know you all know, but you probably don't know some of it. So, Hector, a man I love, a man I take a bullet for, right? And it's probably not a good idea to admit these things when you're a journalist, but I think you have to be real in admitting that no matter what, you're a human. and you get strong feelings about certain people. Hector is a guy who, I'm pretty sure he's talked about it on podcasts before, but let me just explain it to you. I'm a working class guy myself. My dad's in prison. I don't talk to my mother. I don't talk to my family. I had a choice. I could be a criminal, or I could be in the military. I chose neither, and I ended up like this. So when people always tell me about my fucking, white privilege, or they tell me how fucking spoiled I am, or what a luxurious life I had, when I was literally put out onto the streets on my 16th birthday, how I've been systematically beaten, abused, by various fucking family members and non-family members, how I spent a time homeless, how I lived in sheltered accommodation surrounded by heroin addicts, and now I'm here. Right? So I know about the climb. I know about the crawl, and I know about the strength of will to get from bad situation to better situation. And one of the things that I always talk about on my content, and when I talk to my audience, is that, listen, shit's bad now. The key thing you need, and I say it to Maria as well whenever she's feeling depressed, perseverance. You won't get me. I won't top myself, I won't break, I won't snap, I won't scream, I won't squeal, I won't give you the satisfaction. I'll just keep headbutting shit out of the way, and then, you know what? On a long enough time scale, shit gets better, because law of averages dictate it probably has to. Doesn't for everybody. Not a philosophy that works for a lot of people, but I'll keep going, I'll keep on trucking. You won't break me. That's how I roll. I've met very few people in my entire life who have that stubbornness of will, and when I meet them, even though typically what happens is, because we're stubborn assholes, we don't get along at the start, but then we realize we're the same kind of stubborn asshole, and we grow to slowly like each other and then love each other. And Duncan's an example of that. Don't agree with everything that comes out of his mouth, not by a long chalk. I think that's fucking pretty much evident at this point. People don't remember. Do you know how I met Sir Scoots? Back when he was still involved with Live on 3 and Evil Geniuses. And Scoots was calling me a cunt and a piece of shit. And I was like, who the fuck are you little gnome fucking hobgoblin asshole? And we went back and forth at it. Now, I would fucking give, if Scoots needed a blood transfusion, I would fucking hack open my arm and fucking squirt it down his fucking little baby mouth. I wouldn't give a fuck. And with Hector, it's the same shit. Because Hector told me a story about when he was growing up and how poor he was and how they didn't have a toilet when he was a kid. And he used to have to piss in a bucket and that and take it out at night and throw it out. And here he is now, this self-made man. Imagine it. So I always loved Hector right from the fucking start. Loved him. Immediate. First time I met him, I said, there's a fucking man. There is a man. No doubt. There is somebody worth respect. And he always treated me with the same shit. So we always got on right from the fucking start because we come from the fucking worst backgrounds you can imagine. And we didn't let it fucking break us. And we work hard. And we love what we do. And we love our craft. And we hit a point where actually we realize, shit, man, we do this for something bigger than ourselves. Like with me, it's much smaller. I do what I do because I want to tell the truth to the esports audience, even if they don't want to hear it, even if they don't like it. But I know, because I get the emails every day, Richard, I called you an asshole and said you were a liar 2 years ago because you said my team had fixed a match and then it turned out they had, and I'm super sorry and I wish I hadn't said those things. Thank you for what you do, and I just want to say I admire your work in the industry. And it's like, okay, I gave you it raw 2 years ago and you didn't like it and you woke up and realized it was the best thing for you, and that'll do me. I don't want instant adoration. I don't want that. I don't want to be popular. I want to do what's right. I want to tell the truth. I want to not have to compromise that. I want to save this industry from its worst elements. Hector, he loves the OpTic fans. I mean, shit, man, it ain't fake. I see a lot of people in esports, and what they do is they they go, oh, we just want to thank our fans, we love our fans, and it's like, you represent 4 orgs. You don't really give a fuck about the fans. You don't even know who your fans are, or if you really gave a fuck about the fans, you wouldn't have done this stuff. every time I've talked to Hector about what's been going on over at OpTic, even before the infinite buyout and all that bullshit, every time he would frame a discussion, it would be, like, for example, getting involved in the Overwatch League. He was like, the only way I was going to do it was if the, Houston Outlaws had the same color scheme as he's like, it's all about the green wall. It's all about the green wall. He says OpTic's his first kid. It's a child to him. He loves it. And the personality of that child is every requisite member of the green wall. I never got it because one time I wrote something bad about OpTic, and the green wall, there was some DDoSing going on and there was some bad times, but it is what it is. You wouldn't be the first fandom to come at me, as we've established at the start of this broadcast. But like, he's genuine, and I know he's genuine. Because when we're alone in bars, and it's just me and him, and we're drinking, and he goes, fuck, this is really going to upset the fucking fans. I don't know what to do. And you go, shit, man, like, you should be, now that we're alone, and I'm off record, you should be saying to me, it's going to affect my bank balance. It's going to affect my kids. It's going to affect this. It's going to, never, not once. Like, he's legit. With Hector, 100% genuine guy, like, straight up. And I think I should also give you a little bit of full disclosure here. I love Hector so much, and I love OpTic so much, and I love what they've built so much, and I love the ethos so much, that when the infinite fucking buyout happened, I got a call from Hector. We were talking, and he wanted to bring in people who, because he knew it was money people coming in, and who didn't understand esports, he said, like, Rich, this might seem a little bit out of left field, but, we're looking at potentially bringing in, like, GMs and management and everything else. Would you be interested in coming on board? And I went, well, fucking me? I was at Turner. I was at E-League at the time. And I was like, you serious? And he went, Richard, straight up, dog, like, you get it. You get esports. You're unafraid to say, unpopular shit. Like, I can think of nobody better who will always do right by the industry as a whole. And he said, and by extension, like, my brand, I'd love to get you in some capacity. And I had a job interview with that Chris Cheney guy. Well, not a job interview. We had, like, I don't want to call it that. That's a little bit grandiose. But we had an initial phone call, and they said they'd get back and let me know. And I was ready, because I love Hector so much, and because I love what OpTic built, and I recognize the potential that was there when they had this infinite buyout. I was going to walk. I probably would have walked away from E-League and took that job. Like, if Hector had called me up and said, Chris Cheney is 100% on board, like, you can come in and be our GM and help me out. And I'd have been like, yeah, I'm there, dude, 100%. But it never happened. They never got back to me. And it turned out, what I quickly realized was they never got back to me because they didn't want me They didn't want me in. And it wasn't Chris who didn't want me in even. And I've said some terrible things about Chris, and I've said he's incompetent. And I think I still believe that. And even though I know he's partnered up with Hex on this new thing. But yeah, basically, for me, it was like, it's okay, because I've got a TV job. I don't give a fuck. It's no skin off my nose. But what Hector said was, like, at the time, he was like, listen, buddy, I love you. I hope we get to work together again someday. But right now, people aren't ready for a truth teller. They just ain't. And you're too real and too raw, and we they're in the building stage, and what they're worried about is, like, you'll come in and potentially tear shit down. Like, for example, just by way of for instance, imagine if they tried to run OpTic India by me. Hey, we're going to expand into India with this completely unknown CS team, and everyone says this Forsaken guy's a cheater, and there's proof of him boosting. Are you all right with that, Rich? I'm probably going to fucking say, sorry, dudes, this isn't a good idea. Like, you know, I like diarrhea as much as the next guy, but let's weigh this up, you know. Um, uh, I'll fly out there. I'll fly out there. I've been there before. I'll fly out there and I'll fix everything for you, and we'll make this go away. You're like, no, 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 no. It would have been a nightmare. I'm totally not about that. Well, India's not ready yet in terms of infrastructure for esports. It's got a thirst for it. It's got a, you know, but for example, if you were going to go into another area, dare I even say it, you go to Brazil, right? Like, I mean, Brazil is like jumping off right now in terms of esports. Finally got the infrastructure it deserves. Got a mad, passionate fan base. India ain't ready yet. It needs another year or two, easily. So anyway, yeah, that's just an example. So I want to put this all out front and center because I need you guys to know that I might have some biases, and I want you to take those biases.
Thanks for all the great content for your fellow insomniacs.
No worries, dude. I want you to take those biases and use those biases to make a determination about whether or not what I'm saying is true or false. So anyway, I said to Hector, best of luck. I remember we met one time. I can't remember when it was. It was after the buyout, and we had drinks, and I just, you know, we hugged, and I said, like, I'm super happy for you, man. And he said, listen, I'm happy for my family. You know, they're never gonna have to work again. I finally did it. You know, because what people probably don't know is that OpTic was making money, but like, Hector was fucking still like, you know, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you know? He wasn't spending quality time with people like he should be. And there was money coming in, but it wasn't like life-changing money. It was a lot of money, but it wasn't like life-changing, boom, money, where you say to your kids, listen, I got a trust fund for you. You're going to go to the best college. You're going to do all right. It wasn't like that. I weren't there yet. Well, he got that with the infinite buyout. And that's why anybody who calls him anybody who calls him a sellout don't understand what we do this for, because he worked his fucking nuts off for what, like 10 years, 12 years to build this brand, delved into his own pocket how many times? Like, him and Jason Lake are the guys that deserve paydays. Like, you know, they weren't given 10 million to make an esports org. They took out a loan at 10,000 out of their own money. They mortgaged their house to start an esports org. So when the money comes in, like, you can't begrudge these guys the money. And we went out. So anybody who says it's all Hex's fault for selling the org is an idiot. Because what was he supposed to do? Infinite came in and offered him serious money, and he still, again, what people don't realize, he's too good a guy to say it. He could have took because they didn't. As you'll see when I play you some of these clips, they didn't want fucking Hector sticking around, putting his fingers in the gumbo. He could have took a bigger fucking buyout and fucked off. Been on a beach somewhere. Could have literally wrote an email. Dear Green Wall, fuck you all. I'm out. Peace. He didn't do that. He took less money to stick around and stay on the board. Because he still loved it and he still wanted it to go in the right direction. And what he found out was the people around him that he'd put into positions, because I'm sure one of the reasons he wanted me wasn't just because he likes me, wasn't just because he likes my work, but he always knew I'd listen to him. I'd take his counsel before I voted on an issue if I was a board member or whatever. And he put other people who he'd literally kept in OpTic and given livelihoods to and given jobs to, and he kept these guys in for the same reason. Because he was like, listen, there's a way I can have the money and OpTic can still do right by the fans, even though we've got this big VC. We just need the OGs to stick around. But the OGs, man, soon as they got a whiff of, we'll put you up in a corporate position and we'll give you this and we'll give you that. And remember, Hector's a bad board member and vote against him and vote with us. People literally put the knives into Hector. Like, how the fuck do you even do that? And I was hearing all sorts of shit. Because I'm a journalist. Motherfucker, and I'm a respected journalist. Motherfuckers talk to me. And people were coming up to me going, have you heard about all the turmoil going on over at Infinite? How they're trying to get Hector out? And I was going, there's no way. And I would pick up the phone and I'd go, Hector, are they trying to get you out? And he's going, Rich, dog, I fucking love you, man, but like, I can't talk to you about this shit right now. This is like journalism. Like, I just can't. This is my business. I got to keep it out. Okay, no worries, dude. I love you. No problem. I had to ask. I love you. You know, boom. Hang up. Right? Never told me nothing. Stonewalled me. Fucking straight stonewall me. And then, and this is what we'll play here. One of the stories I got sent, and I couldn't believe it because it sounded like a fever dream, was Infinite had decided OpTic was better off without its Call of Duty team. The one that won CWL, before they won CWL.
Dad.
Yo, hey, I don't
Hopefully
reckon.
the real people of esports such as yourself and Hex can outweigh the wankers of esports like the phase fucks.
Yeah.
Much love.
Yeah. Imagine an OpTic without a Call of Duty team. And people told me this, and respected sources told me this. And I rang up Hector and I went, this can't be real, motherfucker. And he said, dog, what have I told you? You can't come to me no more about these stories. I ain't saying shit. It's my business. I'm like, all right. Did some digging. People were straight telling me it was real. And here's the thing. What you're going to see when I play you this clip is... I don't even know if Hector even knew at that point. I'll never know to this day whether at the time I called him, he knew one or the other. I never thought this would come out. But 100%, this is how fucking mental Infinite were. They decided that one of the best things for OpTic was for them to get out of Call of Duty. I don't know if you understand how mental that is. It's like saying Manchester United should get out of football. It's so deranged that it blew my mind. At first I laughed it off. Then I heard it from another dude and another dude. And then I called Hector and he gave me a no comment. And even whether or not he wanted me to know, I don't know. I always take a no comment as, yeah, whatever you've heard is real. So I started digging into it. But anyway, the last 20 minutes of this podcast are crazy. I'll skip through a lot of it. I like Hitch. They talk about a lot of stuff that I think it comes across as a little bit cryptic. But let's just get into this because they get into the whole Infinite trying to cut Call of Duty. I'm so glad it's out because I wanted to tell this story myself and no one would have believed me. Like nobody would have believed me at all.
Oh my God, how do we begin? So there was contract issues, and it wasn't so much the contract or the players, but it was more of the person that was representing the players that these people couldn't get along with.
Right.
They wanted to take Dan's hard work in getting us Chipotle, getting us Pepsi, getting us a better deal with Turtle Beach.
Yeah, and just prior to this, what he was talking about is how like Infinite came in and they were like, we're going to take the business to a next level. Now, at that time, you'll see, like, for example, the Overwatch League will beat its chest and be like, we're taking esports to the next level. Riot Games do this all the time. Big organizations that own leagues, right? And they're like, look, we've got, what was that fucking, not Gummy Bears, Sour Patch Kids sponsorships, and we got a Coca-Cola sponsorship, even though Bobby Kotick's on the board of Coca-Cola. No. Right. What OpTic did as a singular entity before Infinite even started taking over the reins. Chipotle, which is fucking huge, and Pepsi, which is fucking beyond that. And yeah, there you go. Dan was the guy that was working with Hex on sponsorships and was like, I don't want to say an agent, but more of like a marketing guru that he was working with before OpTic took over. So they were bringing in Pepsi, right? And then Infinite said, oh, hey, great job, marketing guru, but we think, again, apropos of nothing, no reason for us to think this, we think we can do even better than that. How do you do better than fucking Pepsi? Like, what, Boeing? Like, where are we at? Like, so they started to undo some of the sponsorships that Hector and Dan had put in place, which was literally unprecedented for an org to have this. Again, people will never understand how big a Chipotle deal is, how big a Pepsi deal is. For one org, not a league, one org. And then Infinite started dismantling this shit.
To take over that and say, all right, thank you, Dan. See you later. No, here you go.
Right.
It's just like, we're taking over, goodbye. Like, you're fired, essentially. And Dan obviously said,
were they a part of the deal at first? Did they experience what I experienced, where they thought they were coming down here?
Yes.
They thought they were going to be a part of all this.
Yeah, because I told them that they were going to be a part of it. Because why would you get rid of
The people
who got you the biggest sponsorships, who have delivered for you time and time again, and who are not just bringing regular sponsorships, they're bringing fucking Chipotle and fucking Pepsi.
Yeah.
You know, why would you get rid of them, right?
Very good question, Hector. Why did Infinite get rid of them? I don't know. Hector doesn't even know. Nobody knows. It's mental.
Instead of figuring out a way to do it.
With them, yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. You know, agents sometimes are very forward and you know, what they're supposed to be. Anyway, because of that external factor that had nothing to do with the players, they got to the point to where, like, you know what? We don't even want to deal with that anymore. So we're going to have to let them go.
They sent the email.
No, hold on. Let me fucking tell you how that went down.
Yeah.
I go in there, and I was talking to Cheney and Jay, and they were talking about this. And I'm like, there's nothing to talk about. We're not dropping the Call of Duty team, period. And then I remember they're like, well, we can't deal with them because we have to deal with whatever other external factors are happening in this. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. We're not dropping that team. If you drop the team, I'm leaving too. And if I leave, everybody else is going to leave too. Give me, this was a Friday at around 5 o'clock. I'm like, give me the weekend. Let me talk to whoever I need to talk to smooth shit over so we can continue down the path that we need to go down. Okay. Now, the second, what was it? It was a Friday. On Saturday, I'm outside grilling. You know, my family's coming over. I'm grilling some arrachera.
This is another reason why I love Hector. He's like, so anyway, on Saturday I held a family barbecue because, you know, that shit's important. Spend time with your fucking family because I'm a real man. I do my shit. But then all this other OpTic shit got in the way. I just fucking love this guy.
Fire. I get a call from an agent, from their agent, the player's agent, saying, yo, what the fuck? What is this? And I'm like, what? He's like, look at the letter that I just got in the mail. And I'm like, what is it? I'm like, I don't got time. I got my hands full of shit. What is it? He's like, they're going to find a home for the Call of Duty players within the next 2 weeks. And I'm like, I seriously, my heart dropped. And I was like, I cannot believe that they're not even going to give me a chance to smooth within 24 hours. Not even 24 hours. They sent out the email to their agent.
And I'll give a bit of insight into this as well, because I know from talking to various people at different levels in Infinite, talking to Hector, talking to players, they wanted Hector out. They wanted Hector out. The problem Hector had here was because he said, if you cut the Call of Duty team, then I'm out. And I'll take those boys and I'll start my own shit. People at Infinite went, brilliant. This is it. This is how we get them out. We're sick of Hector. You see, what Infinite wanted was they wanted a top-tier esports brand and a bunch of fucking yes men so they could run it into the fucking ground. Run it into the ground. And they were weighing, on their own merits, because they're fucking idiots, they were weighing up selling the Call of Duty team because they don't understand esports. They don't realize if you take Call of Duty away from OpTic, what do you really have? Like, best will in the world. Like, OpTic's been involved in multiple games, but they're Call of Duty to the fucking core. And they're not just Call of Duty. They're not just an organization that has like a shitty Call of Duty team every fucking year, every fucking season. They're Call of Duty excellence. You know what I mean? They are Call of Duty. Infinite were like, yeah, we'll just cut them and save some money, and we'll have an Indian Call of Duty team or whatever, and it'll all work out. And then Hector said, listen, if and I don't know if he talks about this on the podcast, but what was going on was he said, like, if you cut fucking Call of Duty, I'm out. And then they went, this is a 2-for-1, because now our most vociferous, our most obstructive board member goes, and we get out of something we think, because we're idiots, is better to be out of anyway. So what Hector had done there by basically standing up for his boys was he made it so they said to him, and again, this chronology lines up with my remembrance of things. Hector said, "Give me the weekend to fix this shit." And remember, these rumors were flying around earlier in the week. Probably when my fucking journalistic ass got in touch with him. And they said, "Sure, Hector, of course, anything for you." And as soon as he left that room on a fucking Friday, they went, "Brilliant. Let's start getting rid of the players." And they completely backstabbed him and fucked him over. And understand that to do this, there were some parties involved that you wouldn't expect. That's all I'll say.
So you told them to wait.
After I told them to wait until Monday, they didn't give a fuck. At that moment, that was the last time I talked to either of them up until recently.
Right.
And the only person I talked to is obviously Cheney. And I was like, I called them immediately, and I'm like, you realize what you're doing, right? Like this isn't gonna work. Like you're dropping you. I'm like, oh my God, no, you don't even you don't even get it. Okay, I did it wrong. Okay, right. On Thursday, the day before that Friday that I went in there pissed off. I landed on Friday from my fishing trip to Okeechobee with my brother. Right. I was fishing.
I was about to say, I think you were fishing.
And I get a call from someone that says, "Tell me it's not true." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Tell me that you guys aren't serious about."
Your face is your moneymaker.
Yo, I love this ad, but I'm going to skip it. Is that me? I don't know. Is that me?
The Call of Duty team. And I was like, no, what the fuck? No, this is just fucking rumors. It's just somebody just stirring up shit. I'm like, no. And I'm like, what? And I repeated to the person. I'm like, what? You think we're gonna get rid of Formal?
Yeah.
A multi-game champion, Crimsix, the winningest player in Call of Duty history, Karma, the only, and then I went down the line to make sure that they understood the severity of the thing. Yeah. And I'm like, you think that I'm gonna let go of my little brother, Scumpy, the biggest, one of the biggest esports personalities in the world?
Carries not only OpTic on his back, but COD.
Yeah. Yes.
Little ginger.
Yeah. I was like, no, there's no fucking way. But I was like this. I'm like, no, there's no fucking way. Actually, hold on a second. Okay? Hold on a second. Let me call you back. I hang up. I'm on my boat. Oh, not my boat. I'm on somebody's boat. And I'm like, hold on. I call and I'm like, yo, we're not getting rid of the Call of Duty team, are we? And there's like, yeah, you know what? Some things just aren't working out. And I was like, bro, we're not.
Yeah.
I'm like, it can wait. It can wait. So I'm like, all right. So I continue to fish. I get on my plane. My brother and I get on my plane. We come back and immediately walk into the office. That's when I have that conversation. I'm like, what the fuck are we? We're not doing it. 24 hours later, as I'm in front of the grill, I get the call from Dan, and then they tell me that, and I'm like, no. And immediately I got so mad, and I sent out an email. I have the email somewhere. I read the email and the response, and I remember like telling them step by step as to why what they're doing was fucked up. Right. And then I told them, I'm like, if you guys proceed with this, I'm gonna leave. And they're like, finally.
Oh yeah.
Finally.
Yeah,
that's what it's gonna take to get the guy out of the fucking way.
Right.
We need that to happen. We need to get him the fuck out of the. He's causing too much trouble. He's got too much power, too much fucking influence.
Right.
Right. And just think about this structurally, right? So first of all, they initially offered Hex a super higher amount to get rid of him totally. He didn't take it because he wanted to stay involved. And then seriously, at this point though, it's like I say, every time I would talk to Hex, he'd be like, oh, I'm off fishing, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Finally, I got more time for quality of life. And the entire time, that he like they would just supposedly consulting for like big decisions. That was the plan. But then they started doing like insane shit. You know, they just started doing mad things like, yeah, we're going to Call of Duty. So Hector started standing up for himself. And they were like, you know what? If we have to make bad business decisions to make Hector leave on principle, we're actually all right with that. Now, just let that just sink in and sit with you. That they would make decisions detrimental to the business to make Hector leave on principle. That's how fucking far gone they were. That's how far fucking gone. It was crazy what was going on at Infinite. People don't realize how bad it was. And like, remember, Hector could have been completely out of all of this. He could have been on that fishing boat 24/7 with even more money in the bank and not getting these phone calls. Like, he chose to stick around to try and fucking guide these motherfuckers. But they didn't want his guidance. They agreed to it, but they didn't want it at all.
Okay? Undeserved influence. Undeserved power. That was just given to me.
Yeah.
I didn't work for 10 years to get that. Just give it away. Twice they tried to get rid of me. Twice.
Yeah.
With that. And the other thing
at
was
least.
they wanted to offer me a project. I'm not going to talk about it, but they wanted they dangled this thing, the silver thing. They're like, dude, look at this. There's fucking lots of money over here. You can go do this. And I'm like, I played chess a couple of times. You know, like I see you coming a mile away. Like this.
Cheers, Rich.
Cheers to you too, buddy.
I helped create this game that you're thinking you're playing with me. So, of course, I entertained it just to see the full scope of it. You know, I wanted to see what it is that they were thinking. I ended up not obviously taking the bait,
Right.
And I continued to be a pain in their asshole for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Now,
What a
during
legend.
all of this, time and time again, I try to offer advice. You know, through intermediaries because I wasn't talking to.
Which this is incredible. So Hector, I hope I'm not speaking out of school here. It became very clear down the road that Hector actually wasn't talking to anybody. He was still on the board. So again, just to show you how childish and fucked up it had got. People weren't talking to Hector. Hector wasn't talking to other people. He was on the board, and he was meant to be giving advice as a board member and like voting as a board member. So what he was doing, he was becoming even more reliant on the people he'd put into these positions to communicate accurately his thoughts, and he was basically feeding his communication down the chain. Like, guys, I don't want to have to come into the office to explain this, but we can't do this and we can't do that, and we've got to do this for this sponsorship, and why is our content creation gone to shit, and all these other things. And it was becoming more and more apparent that Hector was like having conversations of good faith with people and thinking his version would get to the Infinite guys and to the board holistically, but it actually wasn't happening. He was realizing that he was trying to take hands off to not escalate conflict. He was trying to be hands off to not escalate conflict, but he was relying on people that had no interest in representing what he wanted, and that was the problem Hector had. That what he realized was, and what I'm sure he realizes today. A lot of the people he thought loved OpTic as much as he didn't love OpTic. They like money, and they like power, and they like influence, and they actually don't give a fuck what logo or what code they have to wear or adopt to get those things. And that's been the rude awakening for him. That's why he wanted people that he knew were ideologically inflexible, let's say,
to any of them. But that one was the one, and I had people coming to me, and they're like, "Well, if that happens, we can't continue to do this, okay? From a business standpoint,
Like sponsors and
out of partners. That people, they're like, if this happens, we can't be a part of this.
Right.
Like
people that understand OpTic more than the people running OpTic.
Yeah.
So it would seem.
Yeah. So it would seem. So that ended up going down for like a couple of. Are you missing anything on your thing? Or are we? Oh wait, when did the Halo thing happen? Was that before or was that immediately after?
Yes, the Halo team.
From my understanding, the Halo team, the tweet that said we have exited Halo, it was supposed to say we have exited Halo and Call of Duty. It was supposed to be the same time. So this is all around the same. Yeah. Because I remember we went to we went to some event. I think it was Seattle. There was all this stuff,
And again, just to tell you about my own timeline, I'm a whiskey-addled mess at the best of time, and without going into my notes and going into stories that never get published and digging up the dead man switch and the crazy hard drive, let me just tell you, they were making radical changes. For some reason. What was strange was they didn't, even though Overwatch League was a thing and Infinite were pushing control contenders. I'm pretty sure people know about this, but if you don't, they were using a guy called Alicus, who was a very controversial League of Legends manager, to basically reach out to contenders, Overwatch teams, and say you will work for Infinite, you will sign for Infinite, we will, and it was pretty crazy. So what started happening there was they were like, we want to cozy up to only the franchise leagues. But I reported before the Infinite buyout that we were going to get a Call of Duty franchise league. Lo and behold, he's right again. He's done it again, Richie Lewis, with his extensive network. Who knew that he could accurately report stuff? And yet they didn't believe it was ever going to happen. So they wanted to cut a fucking championship-winning Call of Duty team ahead of a franchise league. Madness, right? To save some money in the short term and to pressurize Hex into leaving. But yeah, it was around about the same time as Halo. Now, full disclosure, I don't follow Halo. I haven't followed Halo since there was people on the side of Dr. Pepper cans back in the MLG days. So it's been a long, long time. But let me tell you, they exited Halo super rapidly, and they had a team that was arguably, I guess, because if you say, inarguably the best team in the world, but they were the best. I mean, they had an amazing Halo team, and there was some shit that went on there. I got sent that again. I never go around to publishing. I could never get it over the line. But Infinite were just fucking up at every turn, and yeah, I get it. Halo's not like a massive game right now, but it's like there are some games you expect OpTic to be involved in, and OpTic, Call of Duty's one of them. Like, already have a great Halo team. There's like Gears of War. Like, it was crazy that they were spending money on trying to get into regions like India with terrible CS:GO teams, and they're cutting the Halo team, and also as well the notice the Halo team got. I mean, it was all disgracefully handled. And I believe Hitch here, based on what I remember from the time, they were going to cut COD and Halo at the same time. That was Infinite's brainchild. To we don't need to be part of that old traditional shit. We got Houston Outlaws. We got the Contenders League. I mean, I literally just got off a fucking phone call today from a source in the Overwatch League, literally telling me they were on a call. They were on a call with other team owners talking about how we really need to focus on what we're going to do in future, because that Dallas Fuel home game didn't generate anywhere near as much money as what they needed.
Keep healthy.
Thank you.
The t-shirt.
I appreciate it, man. Megadeth, great stuff. So I literally just got off a fucking phone call with those with that today. So anyway, whatever. Let's get back to this.
You had bought a lot of time, but there was all this stuff still going on with COD, where I remember they were talking about other, like it was the four of them, Formal and all the other three. They were talking about different contracts that different offers that they were about to accept.
Yeah.
And while all that was going on, I remember we had blacked out Avies because as soon as the Halo team got dropped, I didn't know about it until, well, I knew it was like Rocky, but I didn't know that they were literally just getting dropped until PJ told us the day it's happening. And then they get dropped. You black out your Avi, I black out. The rest of us black out. Which
it was a rest in peace OpTic.
Right. And Jack joins.
And then Jack joins in the middle.
But that was supposed to be.
See, that's what I mean.
Time.
Like some people won't know a lot of what this means. So let it wash over you. We get back to some good stuff in a second.
Get the most out of either drop or get the most out of the Gears guys, the Halo guys, and the COD guys because of the they thought that console esports.
You know, I guess we're talking about it, right? Cheney wanted to reverse that,
right?
And he was advised not to.
Wow.
Yeah, so listen, just to pick up on this point while we're here, I had the interview with Chris Cheney. I have definitely framed, even when I did the interview with OpTic J, I have framed Chris Cheney as being one of the negative forces within Infinite. And yet him and Hex are potentially partnered up on this other thing. So let me explain why I still stand by that stance and where we're at. So Chris Cheney is a guy who, if you go and look at his career, again, I won't bring it up for you, but I'll bring it up on my screen. And that's the guy I had the interview with and everything else when I wanted to fucking, well, not wanted, but I would have definitely considered joining OpTic and working with my guy, having Hector as my boss or as an advisor or, whatever. For those who don't know who Chris Cheney is, Chris Cheney's like a guy who, like, thanks for the donation there, Dylan Stable.
Do you think there is any way for Hex to fix this? I'm very ignorant on things like this, but curious. Thanks in advance.
Yeah, chat, you know me, my brain cells are dying by the second, so make a note of that question, and hopefully we'll get to that in about 30 minutes, and I'll answer it for you about what Hex can do to fix it. It's not great news, but it is relevant to some of the later information, so I really appreciate the donation, and I will answer your question provided I remember. Alcohol and brain cells apparently are non-compatible. I don't buy that for a second, but whatever. Anyway, so back to Sargon of Akkad. No, I'm joking. That's banter. Right, anyway. So Chris Cheney is a guy who has never held a position that is senior enough, in my opinion, to really warrant running an entire esports portfolio. So Chris Cheney is a guy who is a very good talker, very charismatic, but you go look at his career on like LinkedIn, he is a director on a board of an investment group. He is a guy that, if you go back to fucking like, he started his own like equity group, or I don't know what you would call it. Like, I don't want to even call it a hedge fund because it's definitely not that. But, he started a group that was named after himself, the Cheney Sports Group. He entered into something called Cheney Capital Partners. He is a guy who, like, knows nothing about esports and probably knows a little bit about money, right? He's not Bobby Axelrod, let's put it that way. So Chris Cheney is a guy who's, like, very likable, knows how to turn on the money tap, right? But knows nothing about esports. And this is my fundamental problem with him. It's why I say he's incompetent. Because even though he loved Hex and he identified Hector's the guy I need to align myself with, because Hector knows what he's doing, and Hector is the fucking green wall. I'm telling you, by the way, if Hector makes his own esports brand, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say you cut the OpTic fan base in half just on that basis alone. Maybe even more. Like, seriously. Seriously. If anybody wants to deny that, I suggest you take the fucking temperature. And I think I'm being generous with fucking half. I think I'm being fucking generous with half. I think wherever Hector goes, the fan base goes to a large degree. And I'll say this. I told him, and I'll say it publicly, Greenwall Gaming has a real fucking nice ring to it, and good luck with that lawsuit, my friends, over at Infinite. Please. Make yourself even fucking more unpopular. Greenwall Gaming, something along those lines, a callback to fucking what OpTic is actually about. Let's do it. Let's make sure the fucking fan base knows where they're welcome and where their fucking people are at. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The problem was Chris Cheney, as much as he loved Hector, was weak as a motherfucker because he didn't have a background in business and he didn't have something to go back to. So every time he got fucking leaned on, he folded faster than fucking Superman on laundry day. Pussy needed a fucking spine, you know what I mean? And I think it's great that him and Hector can still be pals and still want to work with each other. But like fucking Chris Cheney let Hex down big time a number of times. And it's worth identifying that and talking about it. Like, he don't get to skate just because he's on the right side of the argument now. Not for me. Never for me. So.
Okay. Because I know for a fact PJ took the first wave of negotiations. They don't have their agents. They were negotiating themselves. He said the negotiations were so absurd that he was just like, how is this even possible? He was like, I've been talking to Hex for 2 years. Give me Hex, or give me Jay. Give me somebody I can talk to that understands. And they were told, no, you have to talk to the people we put in charge to be able to talk to. Then PJ gave up. They get dropped. Then TJ puts out a twit longer that got so much attention that they were put back on the table to be renegotiated.
Yeah, and that was way after what I just said, though.
Right. Oh, okay. To be renegotiated, and they had the roster lock was on Monday, and they tried Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to contact somebody to be put back on the table after they were told. Yeah. And no, there was no response.
Well, no, people only work
right
Monday through Friday.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
In fucking esports. One of the first things I told them to do, I'm like, when they said it's like, well, since their employees take 40-hour weeks, I'm like, okay, their weekends are Monday and Tuesday.
Right.
Okay, they work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because in esports, who doesn't? When are tournaments?
Right.
When are tournaments? Yeah. You know.
So
it's true, right?
Some people don't know the infinite.
Like people legit don't realize, by the way, when they come over from mainstream business, they don't realize that like there isn't a day off in esports. Maybe you get a Monday if you're lucky. Maybe you get a fucking Monday if you're lucky, because we got a tournament Friday, Saturday, Sunday. People travel on the Monday. Then on Tuesday, we're back to fucking league games. Shit, it's. I tell this to everyone. I got off the phone because I don't talk about a lot about what I've been doing, but my star is rising, guys. I've been unbelievably busy. So I've been in talk with one fucking documentary team, which are making multiple episodes about the complete history of esports, and I'm introducing them to Thorin and Sir Scoots, so that's gonna be fun. But they saw me on something, and they're like, "Oh, we'd love to get you in multiple episodes to talk about multiple things as a talking head." So I don't know where that documentary is gonna go, but let's just say a major, online thing. I got off the phone today with MTV, and they're asking me about, "Oh, hey, you're the guy who covers all the match fixing and all the negative stuff and blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's me, right?" But like, I mean, this better not be one of those fucking things There better be one of those fucking things where you only talk about the bad shit. If you only talk about the bad shit, I'm out. I ain't doing that. I ain't.
Your stream VOD on Andrew Neil and Ben Shapiro. Keep it up.
I'll always keep it up, buddy. Ain't going nowhere. So I told him that, but I got to do an interview with him Thursday or something. And it's like, I'm telling you, man, like, people don't realize, like, just how fucking big this shit is fucking getting, and how like, the kind of fucking insane conversations and meetings you end up having. Like, Hex is so fucking right about, like, there ain't no time off. This was my time off. This is going to be my days off from work. Like, get fucked. On my weekend, I'm doing YouTube content. I'm doing this. I'm talking about events. I'm watching CS Summit so I can do a podcast on Tuesday. I'm fucking, I'm talking to different interviewer. Like, so I got MTV. Who else got in touch with me recently? I think I blew them out the fucking water. I got some Danish journalists reaching out to me. She wants to talk about the blast. I don't even know where that goes. Like there isn't a second to fucking breathe if you care about this business. So the idea that, like, you just be like, you work 9 to 5 Monday to Friday and Saturdays and Sundays and Mondays you're there. I'm at a tournament. What are you talking about? So that should give you an idea about how fucking behind Infinite are in terms of what the industry's like. And again, I say to I've said it before, so I'll explain it to you guys. If you have ever wondered why your favorite, like, esports personality is aged terribly, let's say you used to be thin, good looking, full head of hair, jet black, abs, big muscles, used to be known for, used to be called Chopper, used to get in there, used to fight people, used to win those fights, used to be an animal, right? Let's just say you had a guy that you fucking loved like that. And you watched him, like, over a period of, like, I don't know, maybe not even long, like 3 years, 4 years. And you're like, man, you're unrecognizable. You got fat. You got fucking bald. Like, all your hair's grey. What the you look like Mr. Magoo. What's going on? Esports is what's going on, motherfucker. It will suck you dry like mud honey. It will fuck you up. Because it's 24/7. It is picking up the phone at fucking 4 a.m. to talk to a cunt in a time zone where for him it's fucking 9 a.m. And he thinks it's reasonable to get told something that's super important that's going to drop in your time zone at 2 p.m. And if you get ahead of it, you can make something, it's mental. It is a 24-hour global industry. It's wild as fuck. It's so wild. So just imagine telling people, yep, you got them weekends off. Well, my business, guess my business dies on the weekend, no problem. Anyway, minor point, but I think it's worth stressing. Infinite didn't understand esports is where we're at.
Closed on Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. Well, look.
Oh, and by the way, Bobby Weenus in the chat. Weenus is old school Counter-Strike. Weenus is a guy I love dearly. Worked on multiple fucking things, multiple projects. Like, he knows about the bad old days where we were on the fucking esports fucking plantation. Like, he knows. He knows how hard we worked, like, to get to where we are, because he did the same shit. So fucking shout out to Bobby Weenus. Everybody who follows me should love that guy. Like, he is old school. One of the builders of modern Counter-Strike. Yeah, he knows. He knows.
I understand the need for, for free time and personal time. Obviously, I have personal time. Everybody does.
Everyone does, yeah.
And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to pick people who understood that this, although you're not going to be working 8 hours straight, but you will work those 8 hours throughout the day. You don't have to show up to work as long as you do that. Some people are good enough to finish their 8-hour work day in an hour. Okay, as long as the job gets done, like, who cares? And that's the atmosphere that you would have created that would have inspired people to really, like, get shit done in a better way. Anyway, so, oh man, the whole culture there was not right. Not understanding the fact that content comes first, players come first, is It is a misstep from the jump.
Right.
From the jump. If you don't understand, which is weird to me because people there seem to be fixated on an org chart.
Depth chart. Literally a roster depth chart.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip ahead because I watched this earlier. The depth chart is a thing of legend. If you're an infinite skeptic, if you're somebody that criticized it. So just let me tell you what the depth chart was. Like internally, okay. So what they were doing was they weren't focusing on what I consider key metrics for success. Going back to my days as a team manager, I used to manage an org called Zboard. It was run by Ceratech. Ceratech, you're going to go, who the fuck is Ceratech? Ceratech were a company that made those World of Warcraft keyboards, you know what I mean? Where instead of like it said QWERTY, it was like a picture of a fucking knife and a fucking orc, and you know what I mean? Remember them? Anyway. They had an esports team, and they trusted me in like 2006, 2007, or whatever the fuck it was. They trusted me with running that team, and I was like, I'll totally run it. And they used to say to me all the fucking time, even back then in that day and age, we went to CGS. The prize, if we'd won CGS, which by the way we totally should have got drafted, but whatever. The prize, if we had won the CGS tournament, was Ceratech lose their team. But they knew that because we were called Team Zboard and people were going to go and Google what the fuck a Zboard was, they even said it's fine. They paid for luxury apartments in Birmingham, luxury apartments in London, paid for everything. All they told me to do, right, was just make it look like you're having a good time. Make it rock and roll. Make sure Ben writes a blog about how we had a bunch of drinks and we brought some girls back to the hotel room. We did it rock and roll. That was my job. So, Infinite not getting about content. Fucking what is it? 13 years later.
That's right.
Like, imagine not understanding it.
On Twitch.
Well, thank you. It's very kind of you to say so. There's many people who would challenge that claim, but I'm glad you're not one of them. So imagine that. Imagine that. I'm trying to explain to motherfuckers. Now, content really matters, by the way. Like, winning, it's kind of a secondary thing. It's nice when you do it, but what people really want to see is the journey, and they want to get to know the players, and, so, again, Hector knows this better than anyone else. Infinite were like, well, no, we need a depth chart. So what they had instead... and it's mental because this is like something you do for the NFL, a game that has, squads of like 50 players or whatever. They say, this guy's better in this position than this guy. But if we need a sub for that guy, if he gets sick, this guy comes in. They literally created depth charts for every game they had, every team they had. But think about what your average depth chart looks like in an esports team. You don't have 3 subs for one position. It was a complete waste of time. It was a fucking circle jerk that they did because they were coming from a world where they were thinking about this shit as sports and thinking, well, we better win a fucking Super Bowl. I mean, forget the fact that OpTic obviously went on to win the CWL anyway. The team they wanted to cut. But they don't understand that. It's like, no, you don't, we're nowhere near that yet. You don't have 3 subs deep. Right, who's playing SMG today? Oh, I don't know. We did training, and he played well, and he played well, and he played well, but let's look at the metrics. No, dude, it's not like that. It's like he is, because he's the only SMG player we got on the roster, right? Infinite didn't understand this, and they made these depth charts that, again, I'm going to fast forward past this because it's like a 5-minute discussion about how dumb depth charts are in esports. But they made these depth charts for like every team. And it's like, this is when you know people are, okay, something to be super mindful about is when people do work for work's sake, that's when you know you're dealing with a hack. That's when you know you're dealing with an incompetent. When they do work for work's sake. And the depth chart in an esports team is a perfect example of that. An Infinite push that. Like, Hector's like, what the fuck is a depth chart? I don't need a depth chart. I got fucking 5 players. And I play all 5 all of the time. I don't even have a sub. What is a depth chart? So imagine that. That is where Infinite were coming from. Like, yeah, it's mental. It's mental. Anyway.
Yes.
Who were the starters? Who's on the bench? They're obsessed with it.
And if you're so obsessed with that, and you don't understand where that little thing lies in the grand scheme of the pyramid, like that little thing, all that supporting group that we had of talented people, some of them, they were there to support the pyramid. They weren't there to be a part of the pyramid. They weren't there to insert them. No. You were there to...
Right, hang on. I need more ice. I'm running out of ice. It's really hot here because it's Vegas, so even now it's late. But like we've only got 10 more minutes of this anyway, so I'm going through the whole thing. I don't give a fuck. It's what you're here for. So we'll get back into it. So remember the time 1:54:08, and then I'll be right back. Yeah, look, no one enjoys rice gum. You know, not even rice gum enjoys rice gum.
And I'm Andrew Cooper.
In 2015, we took a surf trip to Bali, Indonesia.
Okay. Why would you get rid of the people who got you the players come first? Is where that org chart lies and why the reason that org chart exists, you're lost and there's nothing that I can do for you.
Right.
Unfortunately.
So many people are obsessed with climbing up the ranks of the company that they didn't realize that the company was decreasing. Like,
now, what was there a character in Men in Black called Jay? Does anyone know? I can't remember. It's been so many years since I saw Men in Black. Yeah, just I forget. That's all I'm saying. It's been a while. It's incidental. But yeah. Jay was Will Smith, wasn't he? Yeah. Okay. Good.
It was bombing, and that's what we had told them was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so, just to skip one thing, I completely leave content. That's when, the day after I'm gone from content, I make my Around the Bar video about how I'm gone from content.
Yeah.
They magically find content space the next day. They hire Joe. Which Joe and I have already talked about that in one of my podcasts. Just, we didn't see, or he saw me as the threat, the douchebag guy that, he did.
Hitch does talk forever here, by the way. I'm gonna go to the next ad. Let's do it now.
That meeting quickly, and I was a part of that meeting because I was there to offer. I said many times, I'm just sad. I'm just sad. I'm sad to see what I put all my time into come to this, and I would love some sort of solution. And that meeting turned into, well, if you wouldn't have made the Around the Bar video, everything would be fine. If you wouldn't have blacked out your Avi, everything would be fine. All these vibes are caused by you. And at that point I was like, it's done. Like, that was my last time trying anything, because I knew that it was a disconnect that was so strong, and there was so much animosity that everything that I know about OpTic and everything I knew about the OpTic fan base and what they would appreciate and what they would like to see, it would never come to fruition, as long as everything was being run.
Right. Long story short, I'll cut through it because, again, remember I listened to this earlier. So basically what Hitch talks about is how he wanted to make certain types of content. He was always getting fucking vetoed. It makes no sense to me why you would veto Hitch. I mean, listen, I've heard lots of right. negative. I don't know Hitch, man. Like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. We never hung out. We never partied. We've never even had a conversation. I'm honestly trying to think if we've even ever been in the same room. It must have happened at some point, because I've been to a ton of like Call of Duty events and MLG events and fucking hung out with OpTic guys and stuff. But we've never directly interacted. And a lot of people have been a bit pissed off because he gets a lot of shine lately. Like, he's won like 2 esports awards for being like videographer of the year. And everyone's like, oh, he's not even a real videographer. He just points a camera at things. It's like, I don't know. I'm not qualified to make any of these decisions or fucking determinations. But it does sound like jealousy to me. Equally, every time I hear the guy talk, do I think I'm listening to like some fucking high-level intellectual? Well, obviously not. Like, you know, like real talk. The guy could fucking... The guy is the audio equivalent of paint drying. So... where am I at with that? I mean, I don't know, but I think what he was talking about here is worth you guys paying attention to. So just to snap you out of your fucking comas. Basically, he wanted to make content, certain types of content that he knew historically the OpTic guys would like. That basically Hex had said, yes, go out and make this type of content. And when he had to give feedback to say, I want to make this type of content, I want to budget for this type of content through the new system, he was getting told, nah, actually, we don't want to do that. So, you know, depth charts on the one hand, fuck your content on the other. All of this ties into how Little Infinite not only understood esports and what esports fans want, but like, ignore esports, ignore the broader fucking context. They didn't even understand the fan base of the fucking brand they bought, and that's unforgivable. It's unforgivable.
Run the way that it was run. And then so that literally right after that, I give Roger vision because I was just over it. And you know, right after I give Roger vision, that's when the whole purge happens of everybody. So that's the timeline of that.
It was, as we sit here on the eve of what's about to happen, the chapter ending on Infinite as it stands, and
it's worth mentioning, like, why is this an important and historic moment in the OpTic brand's history? I'll tell you why. Because we actually don't know who is going to own it a week from now. I mean, we legitimately don't. Infinite have said they want to sell. It's not guaranteed they will sell. Lol. It's not guaranteed they will sell because they want the right price. But Hector and Chris Chaney have been trying to cobble money together. Initially, I got told that they had cobbled together the most money. It seemed unlikely. I've subsequently been told that that is bullshit. And actually, the Immortals group quite clearly has the highest bid, and it wouldn't matter if even Hector and Chris Chaney had a bigger bid or an equal bid. There are too many people in the Infinite boardroom that actually hate Hex so much they wouldn't sell him back his child no matter what he's trying to do. So that's where he's been at the past few weeks. He's like literally fighting for the life of the OpTic org and trying to weigh up how much of his own money he can put in, like all of it, more of it. Can he get a group to come in? Can somebody swoop in? I hope this becomes more common knowledge, because I would love a VC group funded by someone, you know, like Mark Cuban's always talking about, I would never fucking fund an esports org, but if you were going to do one, do this. Like, just somebody put some money in, because you're going to make your money back, because Hector knows what he's doing. But basically, Hector is literally trying to get money, so he can buy OpTic. But here's the thing, if he doesn't buy OpTic, it's not the end of the world, because he's still got all the ties with all those players, and OpTic will just become another part of Immortals that's going to get run at the ground. Let's be real, right? Immortals have absolutely, they went, you know, good job there, Noah Winston. Now bend over. I'm just dancing. No one needs to know exactly what those movements were. Noah Winston got completely fucked and wrecked by, you know, the Immortals esports organization, despite the fact that he fucking built it up. He's gone, right? Well, let's look at what they've done. LA Valiant, MIBR. Who's feeling this? Y'all feeling this vibe? What, so now they're going to own OpTic? You think they're going to do right by it? Think they're going to respect the fans? Think the fans are going to stick around for their tepid, piss-warm take on what OpTic actually is? Nah, no one is. By the time Immortals get OpTic, the OpTic fans are going to be like just all asking Hex where y'all going. And as I said, I think, you know, I see a lot of people in the chat going, oh, 80%, 90% will stick with Hex. I know enough about the reality of the fucking world to know it won't be that high. 50% is insane. Buying an org and then cutting its fan base in half as a result is insane. It's insanely bad business. So let them have it, dude. It's actually, in a lot of ways, it's actually a better outcome than Hector breaking the bank, basically undoing everything he's done to fix his personal situation to buy the org. It's actually better. It's actually better. Let those guys buy it and then give the OpTic fan base the emotional purity, the fucking lack of restraints, you know, the lack of, you know, they're not constrained to following where that org goes at that point. You were already pushing it when Infinite took over. Who gives a fuck what Immortal Gaming do with the name, the word OpTic? You guys know. You guys know where the real OpTic is, and you guys know where the real green wall is. And you should just go follow whatever Hector does next, and he will do something next. I mean, that's the thing. If he fails in this bid to buy OpTic, he will make his own esports org. It will happen. So you and listen, fuck all of this nonsense about a nonsense. People go, but what about a non-compete? What about this? Nah, dude, he'll be fine. Take it from me. Just go follow whatever the brand comes out of it. I mean, I've jokingly said Greenwall Gaming. I think that'd be good. I'd love to see them try and sue him for that. It'd be hilarious. But, you know, maybe they've got that trademarked and maybe he can't wriggle out of it. Maybe he doesn't want to risk it. Doesn't matter. Whatever fucking name he makes, just go follow it. Invest. Buy in. Boom. Buy a shirt. Support the team. Support the players. I'll be 100% there. The members of the org, dude. Anybody who thinks, like, let me tell you, when I went to the CWL right here in Vegas, I was terrified, by the way. I had to talk to Animat Basala, my boy, called him up. He said, listen, Rich, you got to stop worrying about all that, you know, getting clipped shit. Ain't going to happen on my watch. Come down. So I went to the Call of Duty World Finals. It was a little bit intimidating. I got recognized a bunch of times. It was really weird. But, you know, Vegas casino security is pretty much second to none, especially after the Mandalay Bay shooting. And I got to hang out with a bunch of people. And while I was down there, like, Hector was like, yeah, we're totally going to hang out, dog. Oh, but like, oh, me and my players, I got to take them out to lunch. I got to do this. I got to do that. You know, I saw Hector. We hung out. We did the podcast. We recorded some other stuff. But, like, honestly, like, he was just so player-focused and so down for hanging with his players. And the players were so down for, like, hanging with him and going places with him. Like, I am telling you, like, Hector's a lovable dude. Every fucking player on the roster is, like, not beholden to him in a weird way, but just, like, they will just follow him because he's a leader, you know? They'll just follow him. So, yeah, let me tell you, if he makes his own esports org, I even think if it came at, like, you make less money in the short term, I think players go and work for Hex because of who he is and what he's done and where his new org will get. It might not be bigger than the OpTic brand year one. By year two, you're going to bet against it. You're going to bet against, again, Greenwall Gaming, to use my name. You're going to bet against that being bigger than fucking Infinite's OpTic in year two? I wouldn't. No chance. Wouldn't place that bet, my friends. No way. So no Zalanu, which good to see you back on the stream, by the way. I've seen you a few times. Even though you ain't a sub, and I know you got a Twitch Prime lurking, all right, and it's free. That's Jeff Bezos' money, by the way. You only got to do it for 1 month, but whatever. It's good to see you back, and I'm happy to answer your questions. Anyway, let's fucking end this podcast, right? It is free. What you mean? What do you mean? Let me tell you. Jeff Bezos is one of the wealthiest guys in the world. You paid more taxes than Amazon, his corporation. You did. I did. We all pay more taxes. And he gives you this thing called the Twitch Prime, where you can take $2.50 out of his pocket and put it into someone else's. And what, you ain't going to do that? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? You'd be mad not to. He's getting divorced. You're going to lose it all anyway. Fuck that guy. Just saying. Fuck Jeff Bezos. Give me his money. Appreciate it. This is Benja2 and Necklord. Necklord, you don't really count, actually. It was Twitch Prime, but you was 16 months. That's right. You're putting it all out there. You're putting it fucking all out there. What are you going to do? Anyway.
I can't help but to...
You're not even a real journalist.
You know... And Jude hates when I do this because I blame myself for because I think so highly of myself that everything that happens, good or bad, is my fault. And she hates that because when it's bad, and when it's good, whatever, nobody cares. I'm braggadocious as it is. Right. But when it's bad, I really, really overthink it, and I'm okay with it. I can handle it. I don't go to dark places. I literally when it's a good day, it's a good day. When it's a bad day, I'm still having a good day. Right. You know, like I'm that.
100% true.
Like a lot. Like
never seen this guy down, even on his worst day. Even on his worst day.
Like even with Chris, you know, now having you know talked to him again like 3 months ago and started to think of different options. Even then. You know, I told him like, I don't hold. You know, I'm glad that I'm here because I vilified you in some of the shit that I shouldn't have because it was my fault. You know, you're here only because I allowed you to be here. And I told him like between you and me it was business. You know what I'm saying? And that's that. Other shit that's personal. That's something that cuts deep for me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And still, even that, I still blame me for that too. You know what I'm saying? Because had I not done certain things, it wouldn't be the way that it is. Had I not been so combative, you know, had I not walked in there and said, you know what, I feel good coming in here because I get to see how many people it actually takes to do what I did by myself for 7 years.
Now, I remember him telling me this, actually. He said that he was a little concerned, I don't even know how to frame it, that he might have pissed some people off. Because he said when he walked into a room full of people who were all basically doing Hector's job, he said, yeah, this feels good seeing 7 people do my old job, you know, like it takes 7 or whatever the fuck the number is. And it's like, I understand why that's like not nice for people to hear. But like, again, who gives a fuck? Like, you're a board member, you're a fucking executive. You should be... People should respect you and go, yeah, I fucking did. You're a fucking phenom. I've said it before. You know, I've done similar things. Never 7 people. You know, I remember when I left Cadred and fucking... I mean, you won't even know what the fuck that is off of you cunts. Maybe even 70% of you cunts. But when I left that, the guys who took over, they went, shit. You know, we got to manage these guys over here. We got to fucking do this. Like, no one's writing a weekly column. No one's doing this. No one's contacting the games developers. It's like, yeah. I didn't sleep. You don't realize. You thought I was doing a 9 to 5 job. I lived this shit. It was everything to me. So, I think Hector sort of gloating a little bit about it. It's natural. It's human. It ain't great. And I think it shows just when you want to talk about what a fucking cool, down-to-earth dude he is, he's here on a podcast, ripping into Infinite and ripping into what's going on with all the stressful shit he's going through. And he still took a little bit of time to self-reflect about how he could have been less of an asshole. That's the guy. That's the man. Like, not even I would do that. Look, I don't want to win an election for next Jesus. I don't give a fuck. I am an asshole. I like that.
Cheers, Rich.
The key point is I'm an asshole, but I'm right. So make a decision about what you value more. Right? Can you handle being told that you're wrong from an asshole? If you can't, we're in for a bad fucking time. Hector's not even about that life. He's like, yeah, I was right, but I could have been less of an asshole. No. Rich wouldn't, like, not me. Never me. Never me. I'm never subscribing to that shit. No way. It don't matter. Are you right or are you wrong? Hector's fully fucking into that shit. Apologizing when he's right. Imagine. Fuck.
That's not nice. I should have never said that, but I felt it, especially when I was when my thing was being treated the way it was being mistreated. I couldn't help myself but to be an antagonist.
He's talking about OpTic when he says his thing. That is the thing. Privately, he is called his child. Trust me, I'd be touchy about it.
Antagonistical maniac.
Yeah.
That just didn't have a fucking filter on him. And it sucks. I mean, still to this very moment, it sucks. I lost a lot, you know, from friendships to the way things were, you know, all that. And, you know, it's hard for me to regret it, you know, doing that, because I know that whether it was them or somebody else, it would have been something else, and it just happened. I feel bad for the investors, you know, because they're fucking incredible people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
the people that lost their jobs as well.
That, yeah. You know, the investors, man, they trusted in something that had OpTic attached to it. Yeah. So that I blame myself for too. It was like, man, this, you know, if I would have been just a little bit louder, if I would have made a bigger deal out of things.
Literally wouldn't have made a difference. If Hex had been a little bit louder, he would have been fucking stabbed out of the company a little bit quicker. That's just how it works, unfortunately. You see, what people wanted to be fucking told was that OpTic was a holistic esports solution that would gain you profit overnight. It wasn't. It was a work in progress. Yeah, you dominated Call of Duty. Yeah, you'd made great inroads into Overwatch. What comes next? What's your plan for CS? What's your plan for this? What's your plan for this territory? What are you gonna do? Why India? Da-da-da. And nobody had any fucking answers. And they'd appointed a bunch of fucking yes men and con men. And you know, those...
Win and Ashley might sell us. With these revelations,
yes.
How long have we got left on this earth?
Let me tell you, fuck the whole Brexit thing. Mike Ashley is just pretending to sell. He does this all the time. He gets sad and he goes, "Oh, I'll tell everyone I'm selling," and he thinks a journalist is going to write an article and go, "Mike Ashley wasn't all that bad," and it never happens because Mike Ashley is an irredeemable fat cunt who has nothing good about him, who used Newcastle to offset his own business debts. He is everything that's wrong with fucking crony capitalism. He is a fat fucking drunk and an incompetent who has run a football team that should have been pretty easy to manage and pretty marketable into the fucking ground and turned us into a laughingstock. If Mike Ashley is selling us, I'd be dancing in the street. Mike Ashley will never sell. Never sell. We have to wait until that fat cunt keels over and has a coronary in public. You understand? He'll never relinquish it. Never. So it's a fake. It's a fraud. It's what do they say? A fucking fugazi. So a fucking fugazi. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, back to talking about fucking this. You know, like, Hector's, like, too hard on himself here. Hector was one of the few sane voices in the room about what way OpTic had to go. And he's talking about how bad it is for the investors. If you're an investor in a project and a guy comes in, some slick guy in a suit and a fucking tie, and tells you, listen, invest in this and I'll steer us the right way. And you don't ask, what is your experience? Like, why should I fucking trust you with my money? Fuck you. Fuck you. You're an idiot. Fuck you. And Infinite were idiots. They trusted in the worst elements. And every time Hector opened his fucking mouth and tried to tell people, like, we're fucking this up, nobody listened to him. So, like, Hector's too nice a guy. Because I'll tell you, fuck the investors for being dumb. Fuck all the yes men for being fucking yes men. And fuck all the people that you thought you could trust, Hector, who told you they'd do right by you, who didn't do right by OpTic and his fucking fan base. Fuck them all. There ain't a fucking world on planet Earth that was worth this shit. And the only positive that anyone should feel about it is, I hope you actually got fucking paid. And I'm worried that maybe you didn't get as much as what you should have done. Because now you're going to have to come back.
If I wouldn't have kept quiet, if I would have done more than just black out my thing, I you know, whatever. Because for what it's worth, man, these people are good people, man. Yeah. The investors have lives and have zero to do with what happened. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel bad for them. But you know, it's what it is. And there's a million other things that I can tell you that's led to where we're at today. But what's the point? You know,
and this is just your story, and this is just my no scope story. I mean, I said it in the Flycast, but I mean, you know, buy TP a beer and
towards banks. Yeah. You know, and when he says, he's like, I've never had a homie do me dirty like that.
What happened?
Yeah.
Where, you mean, I don't get it either, man. I don't understand.
I can't believe we are here, dude.
Right.
Like in my head.
Yeah, this is the bit I wanted to
believe that this is happening to OpTic. You know what I'm saying? Like it's, I can't believe it. Like even as I sit here, like I understand everything, and I know every single piece of the entire puzzle, and I still don't know how
it happened.
Yeah.
Where, you mean, I don't get it either, man. I don't understand where where some common sense went. I've never seen people switch up the way that they have. I've never had my trust in someone broken so hard. I just don't. It last year changed me for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's for the better or for worse. But.
You know, having talked about it right now, like I know why I'm so biased towards banks.
Right. We're not going to get into that. Or maybe we will. I don't know. But like that's where they wrap it up, talking about the OpTic organization. Oh, so yeah, let me give you the other thing. So I thought it was going to be good news. One of my little birds told me that actually Hector and whatever financial conglomerate he put together were ahead on the bidding, and it was actually bad because there were a couple of board members over at Infinite that were like, yeah, we know he's got the most money, but we don't want to sell to him anyway because we're pissed off and we're spiteful. And that's really bad because generally most people want to make the most money. So your spite and your pettiness doesn't matter. But I was then later told that's inaccurate, and the source who came to me later is a lot more believable. That Immortals just have way more money than where Hector's at right now. And, you know, I mean, listen. I don't want to say this to OpTic fans. I don't want to be the guy to break the news. Hector's not getting OpTic. He sold the brand. He got cut out. He got fucked over. But I think most of you know. I hope most of you know. I hope this isn't bad news. I hope this isn't telling kids Santa Claus isn't real. But he ain't getting it. There's no happy ending in that regard. Unless there's like the fucking last second swoop where somebody comes in and gives Hector like another 30-40 million. It's over. But listen, that isn't the fucking end of the world. I hope you all recognize that, right? Like, I'm trying to think of an example. I mean, I'm trying to think of an example of proportionate size. It doesn't really matter actually with this team because you probably won't really care. But anyway, there was a team in the Premier League called Wimbledon, All right, and Wimbledon FC, and in my footballing era, you gotta go, who the fuck are Wimbledon, Richard? You can't compare them to OpTic. But let me just tell you, they were founded in 1889. 1889. They got history. They got fucking real history. And what happened was they finally broke into Europe. They finished seventh in the Premier League, and because of how it all worked, they got into Europe. Wimbledon. And they were a small team, and they were a team that was run, I think at the time they got into Europe, they were run by a Norwegian manager called Jan Egil Ostenstad or something like that. But they were known as the Crazy Gang. They were known as a team that basically they couldn't play football. They'd kick a long ball and hope one of their guys could head it down and a guy get on the end, and they worked hard. That was it. They weren't skilled, but they were hard workers. So it's not like OpTic, because we all know OpTic is skilled. But the point is that in 2004, they took a big money move from a big buyout, and they became the Milton Keynes Dons. The Milton Keynes Dons. Well, people didn't want them to relocate from Wimbledon to fucking Milton Keynes. So they created a new fucking team called AFC Wimbledon. And AFC Wimbledon had to sacrifice their position in the league. They had to sacrifice the team, the players, the status, the fans, the advertising. But the hardcore fans went with AFC Wimbledon, and it took them years. But we're now in a position where AFC Wimbledon is in the Football League. AFC Wimbledon is a recognised football team. And AFC Wimbledon is still true to the geographical area the team came from. And fuck the MK Dons, right? So, if it can happen in British soccer on a super small scale, let me tell you, it might be a rough year for Greenwall Gaming. Maybe you don't get Chipotle, maybe you don't get fucking Pepsi, maybe you don't have all these big sponsors, but you do have Hex, and you will have Hitch, and you will have all of those people behind the scenes that make OpTic what it is, because they all love Hector, and you will get all of those top-level players, because Hector will probably personally dip into his own pocket to give them the contracts they deserve for at least one fucking year, and they all love Hector, so who gives a fuck who they play for if the money's right? So they're all going to come out and play for him, and it's all possible. It is all possible. And meanwhile, Infinite are going to be, they're going to have sold this fucking brand, and it's going to be a lemon. What's a brand without people who play for it? What's a brand without people who will fucking bleed to represent it? Nothing. It ain't shit. And it's just another example of a big conglomerate company with too much money to fucking spend coming in. So I'm telling you, Hector, for me, this looks like a short-term loss. Hector still wins this long-term. He still wins this long-term. He makes his own org. Even if it's only Call of Duty focused, he wins 100%. And I've said, if I get a phone call from him tomorrow, hey, Rich, I need some help with this org, I quit my fucking job. Again, don't give a fuck. Show it to whoever you want. I write a resignation letter. I do my 30 days. I transfer my visa. I go help Hector run it. The end. Because you follow guys like that, you know what I mean? Should we wrap this up?
Or at least not while, this thing is still going on.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, look, the only thing we have in life is the people that we care about, and that's something that you can count on.
That is true.
And OpTic, for whatever it's worth, is more than just a logo.
That's right.
Yes.
It is the...
Yeet!
This thing is only as powerful as it was because...
Here we go. Love this.
Because of the people... These were from an OpTic mailbox. Some dude made us Lego. Remember this?
Yeah.
Because of that. Just the people in it. That's what it is. It's more powerful together, sure.
Right. But I mean, without.
But this is just a symbol. This is a logo that we all got behind. But it is not a living thing that can communicate with you and tell its story the way that we can. It by itself will never be able to tell you the story the way that you told it. You know what I'm saying? It took Hitch to tell that story. And that's what some people just didn't understand.
Yeah. So, I mean, what now? Do we even know
what now, indeed?
No. So right now we don't know what now.
We don't know what now.
But I am glad that it's coming to where it's coming, because I can't be in limbo the way that I've been.
I mean, I'm just ready for. I mean, it's been in limbo the whole time. Even when we got the house and the vibes were high, I'm like, it's just a matter. I mean,
it's a matter of time.
It's a matter of time. Like we'll get small W's, and even those have their own issues, but. Man, I'm just ready to see what happens and ready to see if if we have to go somewhere, where we're going, or what the fucking next move is, because as long as we're in limbo, then we can't, like, we want to give, I just want to tell stories, and I want to entertain, and I want, you know, the close-knit supporter base that I've, you know, created with myself and with OpTic and with TST, that you know, I want to be able to get to further that and to keep going and to move forward. And I spent so much of 2018 reminiscing that it just wasn't good. And 2019 is about moving forward, and I'm really excited to do that.
I just, you know, I didn't think that 2018. I didn't think that. I thought that was the lowest low. I thought that it couldn't get any fucking worse.
Right.
But 2019 said, "Hold my beer."
Let's wrap this Hector video up.
Not knowing what's next sucks, especially for a control freak like me.
Yeah.
And I just know that unless certain things are done the way that we've been doing them for the last
Semler got wrecked regularly on the good studio, but that was the whole point. Finding Semler was part of the joke. But trust me, it did wonders for his career.
Yeah. It's literal insanity. But you know, like anything else, keep our heads up, keep moving forward, and just continue to be OpTic, the real OpTic.
And I love that part. Continue to be OpTic, the real OpTic. This is actually a good still, where he's scratching his nose. I'm telling you, how this story ends, guys, like 100%, because Infinite is so dumb, and they're going to sell with the Immortals group. They are, I'm telling you, like Hector is gonna get him get a business partnership with somebody of maybe not the same amount of money as Immortals Gaming Club FC or whatever the fuck they're called, but decent amount. And he will create his own org. And again, I keep joking, call it Greenwall Gaming. I think calling it something like that would be the ultimate fuck you to OpTic, but it doesn't matter. Whatever he calls it, it'll be fucking green and black. Believe that. And that's where we're all going to go. All the fans at OpTic, you know. I'm telling you, you know, it might not be the most immediately catchy name, but in the same way, like the comparison I used with Wimbledon and you know, AFC Wimbledon and, you know, fucking, what was it, MK Dons, Milton Keynes Dons. Sometimes the name is only apparent to those who understand the history, but like in 5 years, it won't matter. Greenwall Gaming, it's not the fucking worst, and if it ain't a trademark term, you should, you know, there's worse names out there. Great to see you, by the way, Hitch, man. Thanks for swinging by. Good people. A lot of good people associated with OpTic, going through a lot of tough stuff right now. None less than fucking Hex. Because you will not find a single person. Here's how you know Hex is real. Because when I talk about esports owners and esports managers, you know, they all come out and they go, oh, I'm like a Christ-like figure and I'm a good guy. And then you talk to a couple of people who work at the company and they tell you about the time. You know, Chris Badawi, you know what I mean? Guys like this. I've never found anyone in this business. Not even the people who are fucking him right now say anything bad about Hex. How's that possible? How's that possible? People say bad shit about me all the time. How's it possible?